I love that.
That's the prettiest one. This is backward, or is it? No?
Don't have enough music.
That's okay. Well, we don't need to use all of them. We can just use the two.
Hands are not holding her, and she's right now.
Whether we get the grant or not, the city's going to provide some of the services. So, for instance, the removal of the old equipment, and any debris, or the framework around it, the city will be removing. So it'll be an in-kind number that we won't, it's not listed on this paper. So that's how we're going to make up that other $25,000.
I got a number.
It was the big guy.
Here in Massachusetts, when you say I can't hear it.
Hey, Cameron.
Come
I
on,
love
step right
that
up.
hat to go in front.
Step
Got
right
his
up.
pin on. Look at that. Cameron's the mayor. Cameron's the mayor.
Love the hat, love the hat.
So I want to welcome everybody to the Fall River Room for a great announcement today. And as the mayor, there's so many various quality of life issues that we are faced with on a daily basis. And our office prides itself with being responsive to the needs of the citizen. I sat down with two neighborhood groups, the Highland Neighborhood Association, as well as the St. Anne's Neighborhood Association. And each associations, like all the other associations throughout the city, wanted to see their neighborhoods improve. They wanted to see their quality of life improve. And they also wanted to see improvements to their respective parks. And the first group I want to talk about is the St. Anne's Neighborhood Association. And their presidents here with us, Pamela Laliberte-Lebeau, various members of their group are also here. And I remember sitting down with Pam and the members of her group, and they said, Mayor, we want to redo the playground at Kennedy Park. The current playground is in a state of disrepair. That park is heavily used by people not just in that neighborhood, but throughout the entire city. And we want to make a park, a playground that we're proud of and where families can go and enjoy themselves. But we just don't want to make it better. We want to make it all-inclusive. And they share with me stories of families who had children with a physical disability. And they would have to leave the city of Fall River and go to places like Dartmouth to use a playground. And that's not right. And that's not the way things are supposed to be. And my little buddies like Cameron and Hope, they want to be able to use the playground and not leave the city of Fall River. So the St. Anne's Neighborhood Association embarked on a very passionate campaign to raise funding for an inclusive playground. And we have some of the renderings here behind us. And it's a playground that is designed to be inclusive and to allow a child with a physical disability to use a playground like any other child. And that's an important project. It's a project that I'm very passionate about, and it's a project that I engaged my full support with them on. And sitting down with Pam and the neighborhood group, they did their homework. They went out, they got the proper approvals from the Historic Commission, from the Park Board, and they sat down with engineers who built parks and playgrounds like this in the past, and they came out with a design on how they want this park built, this playground built. And the price tag for it is $375,000. And that's a hefty price tag, but it's something I believe government should assist this neighborhood group in completing. And because when we do that, we have a playground that children from the entire city of Fall River can enjoy, and their families don't have to leave our city and to go to places like Dartmouth in order for their children to use a playground. So the St. Anne's group went out and they raised approximately $70,000 in about 2 years, and that's a very bold fundraising campaign. But you can tell from the number of $375,000, there's a lot more work that they would have to do to meet that number. And the longer they took to meet that number, the less time children like Cameron and Hope would have had to use a playground here in the city of Fall River. That's not right. So I believe government needs to assist in improving parks and playgrounds in the city. And this is a project that I want to embark on you with the help of city councilors and state representatives and everybody here at the table working together. And then we have the Highland Park. And for those of you who are familiar with Highland Park, it's a dilapidated corner. It's a dilapidated corner that sits on President Avenue and Robeson Street. It's cracked asphalt, it's fallen down fences, it's a basketball court that you can't really play a good basketball game on. So those of you who followed that corner know that there were many different uses for it, or proposed uses for it. We've heard about possibly a pharmacy going there, or a parking lot, or another medical facility. But the neighborhood group stepped up, and they stepped up very loudly and very passionately, and they said that they didn't want to see that open space be developed in such a way that would be detrimental to the neighborhood and to the community. So they embarked on a passionate plan to put forth a improvement to that park, which would redo the basketball courts, which would put in a tot lot for children to use, which would put in a community garden for people to enjoy, and a fountain for people to sit by. So what you would have at Highland Park is a use for all ages and all different groups. And the total price tag for both projects is $875,000. A lot of money, yes, but money well spent, and money that will be used to improve not just those two neighborhoods, but improve the entire city. And there may be some folks who say you can spend the money elsewhere on potholes or sidewalks or making sure weeds not growing out of a road. And yes, we can spend it on that, and we are spending money on that too. We're just not focusing on these two projects. We're focusing on many projects here in the city of Fall River. And the construction of the inclusion playground, the construction of Highland Park are two bold initiatives that I'm very proud of, and very proud to put my name on as the mayor of the city of Fall River. But I can't do it alone. In order to make these projects work, we have to send out a bond request to the city council. And I would need a 2/3 vote, 6 members of the council, to approve this bond request. And if they were to approve it, I do believe we can start construction in the spring, Ken?
Yes.
In the spring of 2013, and finish by the summer, Ken?
Absolutely.
All right. Finish by the summer of 2013. So this park, the Highland Park and the inclusion playground will begin spring of next year and be finished by summer of next year. And that's a great thing for the city of Fall River. So with that said, this is a community-wide effort. And one last thing I want to address is I know both organizations have raised funds. The St. Anne's Neighborhood Association, approximately $70,000 worth of funding. The Highland Neighborhood Association, $10,000 to $12,000 worth of funding. I would ask both groups to put their funding into park improvements and to maintenance, or put in surveillance cameras up in those parks to make sure children or vandals aren't destroying them. Because what I hear a lot too is, Mayor, you're going to make this investment in a park and somebody's going to go destroy it and break it or graffiti it. If we put the surveillance cameras up, if we make sure we have money on hand to make repairs, the park and the playground will be around for future generations to enjoy. So one thing I like to do is to hand out money and to hand out checks. And there's 2 checks I want to hand out. And what you're going to notice is I dated them for October 31st, which is the Wednesday after the council. I put pressure on the council, but I'm sure they don't mind that. So I want to present a check for $375,000 to the St. Anne's Neighborhood Association. Construction of the Highland Park. But first, I would ask a representative from both the Highland and the St. Anne's group to come up and say a few words and tell us more about the park and what it means.
I'm a little overwhelmed and speechless, which those of you that know me doesn't happen very often. We are amazingly thrilled and grateful for this donation. We're thankful for the partnership that the neighborhood associations have with the mayor, have with the council. We are hopeful that the council sees this as these two projects as good for the entire city. They are for the entire city. They're not just for these two areas. And we just couldn't be more thrilled. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, as president of the Highland Neighborhood Association, I want to first recognize a dynamic trio that really has been the key, if you will, voice to this effort. And it's Karen Magoni, who's the second vice president of our association. It's Dawn Surratt, who is a member of our association and a board member of our association. And the very dynamic Ms. Shavs here, who was able to pull together a really good cheerleading group that made it clear to all who passed by that we were going to take nothing but the best for President Avenue and Robeson Street. And combined with that, there are now 80-plus members of the association that have duly paid their dues. There are many more that have made contributions. Laura Redmond, who is a key force in this effort and has been here for decades, although she looks like just a young girl, but she's been advocating for this effort, and she led an effort to do our first major fundraiser, and there's certainly going to be more money. Value of green space, and understands the value of recreation, and both passive and active, and particularly understands the value of everyone being included. And when you see these kids here today, this is what it's about. The bottom line is that our parks need to be ready for the 21st century and for all those children that need it. So Mayor, my hat is off to you. Congratulations. And as you know, Earl Gaudette and I have been involved in politics for many, many decades, but I know of no mayor in my time of serving in government who has been more responsive and more committed to what the neighborhoods want, and we appreciate the work you do.
Well said, Steve. Well, let me be the first member of the City Council to totally throw my support behind these two projects. I made a general rule for myself 15 years ago, geez, it's been that long, when I get elected, lucky enough to get elected, whenever there is a vote in front of me that is going to benefit children, it's a no-brainer. That's why... That's why we're here. That's why we're elected. That's why we're trying to make our city a better place for our young children. And these two projects is just another example, I think, of us having our priorities straight and really, leaving our mark for many generations to come. So I'm excited about it. I urge the rest of my colleagues to support it, and hopefully it's going to be a unanimous vote. So thank you very much.
I'm very proud to be here. I'll be the second one to show my support. We are elected to represent everyone in the city of Fall River. But it's no more than right that everyone has the same opportunities. And for too long it's been not addressed for the disabled people to have the use of the parks that they should. And I think these are the things, Mayor, that are creating a situation where people want to come to Fall River. That's our way of showing people what Fall River is all about. And this will be an asset to everyone who lives in the city of Fall River. And I'm really proud. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I just want to congratulate St. Anne's and the Highlands for so much effort that they put into it. I know that they worked for many, many months to raise the funds needed to get to that place in time where it would have been a long time, and thanks to the mayor, this is happening for both of you. There's other neighborhood associations here who have the same concerns about their parks, and I know this mayor will do everything that he possibly can, and this council, to make sure that we move in that direction. Over the past a year and a half, it's very noticeable. And I think that's wonderful, and I hope the council will be supportive. It's, you know, bond issues are serious things because we're asking our citizens to pick up the tab. So hopefully they will all understand the importance of having a playground that all children with physical disabilities can enjoy. And I'm proud to be here today and to support the mayor in this process. Thank you.
Thank you. And State Rep-elect raises a very prominent issue. Our administration has worked very hard to make improvements throughout the parks in the entire city. We're working and improving the parking situation at Maplewood Park. We worked at Pulaski Park to make improvements also there. We worked at Shoe Park and Ruggles Park to improve the playgrounds at those parks too. And we created the first dog park in the city over on Locust Street, and you can drive by there at any time during the day and see families enjoying it. I know we have a number of other citizens here, neighborhood leaders, and open mic if you want to say anything. Councilor Mitchell, do you want to say a few words?
And let me say this about that. Now, I just got the figures on your proposal, Mr. Mayor, and hopefully we can do this because as everyone knows, children have got to come first in our community. And although a couple of people asked me if I would support this, and I told them I hadn't gotten the figures on this yet, but in looking at them, it looks like something that is well thought out, and hopefully we get a unanimous vote on the council once they all look at this. I'm just looking at it. I haven't got everything down pat yet, but I'll tell you what, I look forward to seeing those parks and playgrounds available to the youth of our city because it's so important for our youth to have some place to go rather than playing on the streets. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir, boss.
First of all, I'm very happy with the success that the neighborhood groups have had in the city of Fall River. I do see Al Lemer here, and Al Lemer has been pushing for the CPA, and this is some of the proposals that we could be going on. Going to be on the ballot coming up, and if we do support CPA, this is the kind of monies that we want to use. We want to use it in all of the parks. If we were successful with the CPA, it would not be necessary that we'd have to float a bond issue. We could use the monies that would be coming in from the CPA. So however, in the future, if it does pass, I hope that Al Lemer will be very successful, Mr. Lemer, and have money for all of the parks in the city. I thank the mayor and I thank everyone else who supports this. Thank you.
Thank you. Raises another point too. There's so many people who work on park improvements every day, from the neighborhood groups to people like Al Lemer, to the trustees, the park advocates. People do care about open space. They care about parks and playgrounds in our community. And you know, this is a great day for the city. So when these projects do get approved on Tuesday, the bond orders do go out. Construction must begin in the spring of 2013 and wrapped up later on that year. We're going to have two projects here in the city of Fall River that generations upon generations will be able to enjoy in our city, and it has been an honor to be able to stop, work on, and complete these projects with you. Thank you.
You looking up? Look up. Is he looking up? He's like hiding behind the check. Go ahead. Don't hide behind the checks. Big smile. Cheese. Say cheese. Cameron for mayor. What do you think I'm gonna get? That's it. No, I just keep thinking I wish I was as wealthy as that hedge fund guy who just gave $100 million to Central Park, you know? If only. Like, I'm in the wrong line of business.